welcome back to Pinkoddbird. Today, friends, I have my last journal for 2024 Halloween season. I know we're just a few days from Halloween here, but this one is a big a big scary monster. And so I wanted to be able to bring this one to you guys just before we close out spooky season. This journal is going to be big enough for somebody who truly enjoys like memory keeping over time, using their pages for journaling, things like that. I wanted to have a little bit of a balance of some decorations and ephemera, but a lot of like blank pages so that you would be able to, you know, work in it, memory keep. And I think if you're going to use this for just Halloween events, you'll have a couple of years worth to use with this journal. So the next thing I wanted to say is I usually post these up in my Etsy shop, but I'm going to go ahead and post this one out on my eBay. Since it's the last one, I thought it would be kind of cool to give a little bit more people a chance to grab this one if they're interested. And that way you're able to bid and you have a little bit of a better chance to try and grab this journal. I don't think I've ever made a Halloween journal this big before. It's a pretty big one. But I love it, and I really wanted this one to have like a really vintage, rustic, grungy style of journal vibe to it. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I just really wanted it to be like vintage Halloween vibes. So since this book is so big, I'm going to go ahead and stop talking. But the information on how you can try and get dibs on this book is going to be in the description box below. And it will be there until it's not. And if you want to check it out and look at the flip through, let's go ahead and get started. This is the big one. This one is about 11 inches tall. Yes, it's 11 inches tall, 9 inches wide, and the spine is just about 3.5 inches. There are a total of 6 signatures in this book. I don't remember how many pages I put, but I will either put it on the screen or I'll put it in the description for the purchase listing. I use this really cool fabric because it had the vintage vibes to it. Let me show you the inspiration for this journal. So the inspiration for this book was this paper in particular, and this paper was a gift to me. I'm so thankful and grateful because, number one, I didn't even realize that this paper like even existed. I think this paper pad comes from 2011, so it's not quite vintage, but this is a dead stock paper pad by Tim Holtz, and it was partially used, and so there's still some papers in here. But you guys, I can't even tell you how grateful and lucky I am that this one was given to me. I'm so just grateful. And I have pages left that I will be able to use for a journal that I make for myself. And so that's going to be something that I do with the remaining pieces of this paper. But I was able to take some out and use these pages, which if you try looking up this paper pad online, you would be really hard pressed to find one single paper pad of this particular Tim Holtz for less than about $70, $80 for the paper pad. So when I tell you I'm so grateful and thankful. So thank you. But I wanted to have the book inspired by that paper because it really gave that vintage Halloween vibe. And I use this particular fabric because it had the same vibes to it. I really just like all these vintage images. And then this on the spine is muslin that I hand painted. I did a little bit of stamping to it to make it look grungy. I added a little bit of gold gilding to it. I also did the ledges on the spine, and the spine is slightly rounded. I made this book hollow back so that it would completely lay flat, and it does. I also added this cute little charm on, which you could remove this and add it anywhere else, but it's got one of these like eyeballs, some pumpkins on there, ghosts, all kinds of beads, skulls, candy corn, just a really cute little charm. So that's the book. Yeah. Oh, and for the cover, this is a wood plate. And I wanted to keep the cover really simple, like I said, because I wanted this really beautiful fabric to show. But there is space for you to add something else if you wanted to, because this book is so huge. But I really just like the simplistic, vintage, like rustic look to this. So I painted this so many different ways. Like I went through so many trials and tribulations with just this piece alone. And Priscilla from Release to Crafton was helping me with this. So thank you, Priscilla. And ultimately, I love the way that it turned out. It looks like a really old, weathered piece of wood, like you would see hanging on the front of a building. So for the closure, I've used a little bit of this like rust colored grosgrain ribbon in conjunction with the burnt orange, silk. This book is huge, guys. So in the front cover here, I made double pockets, and there are lots of different pieces of ephemera, some backed with coffee stained paper, some backed with cardstock, some backed with like paper bag, just to give like different textures. There's some more of this amazing paper, and what you might not know about this paper is it's actually a resist. So if you're trying to do some extra like mixed media on it, you can, because it's a resist paper, so it's going to have like a really cool effect when you do that. So that's what's in the front cover here. So again, I use this amazing paper, and ooh, you guys, I just can't even tell you. So I have these really cute, large vocabulary card styles that you can use as tags. I used a bunch of different kits, and I will have to list them in the description box for you guys, because I can't remember all of them. All of the dyed pages in here are the originals. This is some little leaves. Each signature has one of these leaves that I made, and I used SB Artistry, Shayna's tutorial for these. But they're just like a really fun texture piece. You can also remove them and add them somewhere else. I did stamping through the book. Every page that's dyed is the original dyed paper. I got these really cute little tags also with the words and the definition on there. Some fabric flips as usual. And I wanted everything to be kind of dyed. I didn't dye every single piece, but almost every single piece is dyed, because I wanted to have that grungy look to it. It's a cute little stamp. I did some like Franken pockets. I know I use a lot of TsunamiRose in here, and I think, oh gosh, it's Lorna's shop. I also use my Tim Holtz stamps to stamp some words into the book. Some little texture. I wanted to use the burlap because I thought that was really the vibe for this book. Some Mrscog, I think. Even the scrapbook papers are dyed as well. Original dyed green paper. It's a pocket here. All different paper weights in here, all different paper types, ages, just so there's a lot of different textures and sounds on this book. I'm really, really happy with how this book turned out. I would honestly enjoy using this myself. Some of them have little leaves on them. Big stamp that I have there. So many good places and backgrounds to journal on. There's another one of those leaves. It's a fabric flip. I opened up one of my kits that I received as Happy Mail, and it's from, I think it's STL Lori. That's her shop on Etsy. I will link it in the description box below. I got so many amazing little bits and pieces, and she sells Halloween kits on her Etsy shop as well. So I just want to give a shout out to Lori. I used some of your pieces in this book as well, so thank you so much for sending that over to me. And you guys, if you're interested for purchasing any Halloween kits for maybe continuing to craft Halloween this year or for next year, check out Lori in the description box below. Look how good. Look how good. This paper is so good, you guys. So here I made a giant, it's about the size of the actual book, Raggedy, and I used Nick the Booksmith's tutorial, and I just used a bunch of scraps of papers and some pages from my personal Halloween kit that you can also find on Etsy. It's got all these antique Halloween postcards, and on the back side you can see here just a really old looking Raggedy. So thanks Nick for the tutorial. I will link that down below if you guys are not already familiar with that tutorial. This is a little tuck spot. Haunt. It's another pretty little leaf that I made, and a fabric flip. Here's another piece from Lori's shop. I made that one into a little tuck spot there. This is a top loading pocket here, so I just tucked one of these little Halloween jars in there so you know it's a pocket. It's another leaf, and then I like this see-through fabric flip because it's going to look so good whatever you decide to do underneath. It's going to look really pretty underneath it. Got a little tuck spot here. I used one of my really super duper old paper clips in this, but these paper clips are really cool. They're really vintage ones, and I don't really ever use them because I'm hoarding them, obviously. But I did add one to this book here. Another tag. Some pretty ideals pages in here as well. This little cat with a pumpkin and then the little bats hanging out. The flip outs I left. You can always glue them down to turn them into pockets, but I like to sometimes leave that choice up to you, especially when I'm creating the journal with intentions of someone who actually journals and memory keeps. Some more of this amazing Tim Holtz. Got the little trick-or-treaters down here and the trick-or-treat tag. This is the back of the book. That's another one of these double pockets, and I just tucked in one of the word cards and then a couple more pieces of ephemera here. There's my stamp, and that is it. Whew. I had to try and get through. I know I did a lot of talking in the beginning, so thank you for bearing with me on that, but there were a lot of things that I needed to say about like the inspiration and the motivation behind this book, and I hope that you guys have enjoyed this book, the flip through of it. If you're interested, like I said, it's going to be available for purchase in the description box below. We'll link you to my eBay, and there I will have that one sent out immediately after the auction ends. So if you're interested, go ahead and check that out. And if you guys enjoyed this flip through, leave a comment down below and let me know if you've ever heard of this amazing paper. Maybe some of you guys had already purchased it, and I think I had started almost crafting maybe a couple years after this was released, maybe just like 2 or so years right after this was released, and I never came across it, which is wild for me to think of. But if you guys have seen that before, let me know. If you enjoyed this flip through, let me know. If you have any big fun plans for Halloween, let me know down in the comment section below. Don't forget, we're going to also be wrapping up Oddtober 24 really soon, so be sure to get your prompts all done and be on the lookout for the final video for that. And I think that is going to wrap it up for me for now. Be sure to stay tuned, because you never know what direction this odd flock of ours is heading into. And until next time, toodaloo.